it, please comment in the chat. Please say something in the chat if you like the background or if you clap, just to use the functions and getting used to it. So no bingo today. What are the rules? So we mute everybody. So sorry for that, but as we know the bingo a little bit, we had to mute everybody at the beginning. So if you have questions, and you can ask questions anytime, please ask in the chat or raise your hand. Can you just, some of you raise the hand that we see that you know how to raise the hand? Please, some of you raise the hand. You don't have to say anything, just raise the hand. Okay, I see 2, 3, 4, 5 people raising the hand. Okay, good. So raised hand, it means after a slide is finished, we will ask you to say something, okay? In case you raise your hand and you just wanna say something in the chat, please indicate that you cannot talk. We will monitor the chat comments. So if there's any comment at the end of each slide, we will answer questions or will go on your comment. Okay, and please have fun. So it's not that serious. Of course, you will learn about Agile, but there are also some fun elements here. Okay, do you have any questions at the beginning? Please answer in the chat. How do you feel? Okay, good. So people feel great. It's a good time. I hope you had dinner already. So let's get into the topic. So before, I want to quickly introduce myself. My name is Carsten Ley. I'm an Agile customer experience and project management consultant and trainer. And I'm working also for MPC, Myanmar Project Management Center. And I also have several other clients in Myanmar, like MIT, Sala Group, Solar Home. And as I'm based in Vietnam, I worked previously for Lazada and Home Credit Vietnam. And I had clients here, Citibank, H&M, Fit-In, Milano Coffee. So we have a wide range of clients in these kind of topics. So I will not only speak to you as a trainer, but also as a consultant, and will tell you some of the project experience we made implementing Agile, OKR, and these kind of topics. So let's jump into Agile management. Now, which parts of Agile do you know? So we have here some words of Agile: Scrum, Kanban, Sprint, risks, XP, retrospective, backlog, and so on. Now let's make a quick poll. So we will show you a quick poll where you can answer multiple choice, which parts of Agile do you already know? Okay. Okay, 1 minute time. Please answer which parts of Agile do you already know? I'm surprised. At the moment, the most popular is Kanban. Wow. A lot of people know Kanban. Scrum is coming. Now, if you think about risk management, maybe you know risk management not in Agile, but one thing I already can tell you, even risk management in Agile is the same like in normal project management. There's not much difference. Yeah. So if you know risk management, please click on risk management too. Okay, some of you have done a sprint, hopefully already. XP is not so. Okay, 1 minute over, let's show the results to everybody. Okay, so yeah, risk management is something we not only use in Agile, we also use in traditional project management, like we call waterfall. I will show you the difference in a second. Sprint is a tool inside Scrum. I will come to that. Kanban is more visualization technique, which I will explain. And XP is something we will do more in a very specialized webinar. XP is that you really put people in a room, like a hackathon. I don't know if you heard about hackathon. I will write the word in the chat. Okay, you can comment on that. Hackathon. Okay, hackathon. I hope I wrote it correctly. Anybody knows hackathon? Or anybody has been in a hackathon? Ah, I see. Some answers here. Okay. Hackathon means you put all people in a room 24 hours, 3 days, 1 week, with probably a lot of pizza and a lot of drinks, and they work non-stop on things. And it means people sit in the room together, even with the client and so on. That's XP. Yeah. But like it say, XP means extreme programming, so it's a little bit extreme. Okay, thank you for the first polling. Yes, there's a question like War Room. Yes, XP is like War Room. Yeah? Okay, very good question. Thank you. Okay, so if we go back to the slides, and we will speak most about the topics briefly today. So Agile is a very complicated methodology, but if you want to break it down, it simply means that you are much more flexible in doing a project. And in a project you do in the traditional method, or we call waterfall method, which you plan already 6 months, 1 year ahead, very much in detail. Yeah, Agile means you make smaller parts where you deliver much faster. Yeah, and when we look below here on the slide, a lot of companies use Agile now more than just for software development. I mean, like 20 years ago when it was developed by some IT geeks, and Agile was very IT. But now I see a lot of companies also using Agile, for example, product development. Yeah. And this is something we can use. There's also, of course, you can also mix it. For some parts, you can use the traditional one. For some parts, you can use the Agile one. And I will come to that in a second. Okay. Now, if we look at Agile and the traditional management method, which we call waterfall project, right? Waterfall project is plan, create, review, release. Or if we go with PMI, Project Management Institute, we have 5 stages. Yeah. If you look in Agile, it's very focused on releasing as fast as possible. So you release functions as fast as possible, which you can work. Yeah. So for example, last week or 2 weeks ago, me and a friend, we did a new web page together. And we did something like extreme programming, actually. We sit together for 2-3 days. And he was setting up the web page with a tool. And I, as a customer, I gave him all the input. So he worked 1 hour setting up my photos, my content. And then he told me what's the next thing he's working on. And we launched. We only launched a landing page at the beginning. And so the landing page was already live. And I thought it's already a value that people can see the landing page. And then we added page by page, instead of working probably 4 to 6 weeks like other people and then launching the whole thing. Yeah, and maybe never finish. So that's a little bit of difference here. Okay, let's make a question here. So at the moment, for the projects you are running, what are you using? Are you using waterfall? Are you using Agile? Or are you using both? Mainly. Okay, so let's make a new poll. Okay, here it goes. Okay. 1 minute time. What are you using mainly at the moment? Waterfall, Agile, or mixed? Okay, 50% of the people already responded in 30 seconds. That's a really good timing. So let's give it another 30 seconds to finish. 14 people are still missing. Maybe somebody already fall asleep. Let's see. Okay. Maybe my new background is a little bit too making people sleepy. I don't know. Let's see how it goes. Okay. 1 minute over. Let's end the polling and I will show you the result. And that's actually a very good result. And it's also very realistic. So the big advice in companies is don't use Agile, don't use Waterfall, use it mixed. I mean, there are projects where you don't have a lot of changes and projects you have done already for a lot of times, like process-driven projects or fit-out construction projects, or even sometimes IT implementation projects, like big ERP system. So you use Waterfall, yeah, for parts of it. And then for other projects, you use Agile. Yeah, so you get a mixed, or there are parts of projects where you can also use for software implementation, where inside the implementation packages, you go on sprint, you try things, but then for the stages to implement, develop, test, and implement, you use a very strict waterfall method that you know exactly when you will implement. So mixed is good. Agile could be a little bit higher according to this poll, but it depends what kind of company you are. So there's no judgment. Okay, thank you very much. Good. Do we have any questions so far? Okay, good. So let's carry on. So if you look a little bit how the market is doing, this is like an international study on agility, and we are already pretty good on that. So we almost hit it. So they say companies with a high agility use mainly hybrid and a higher part of agile. It depends on the industry. And organizations with low agility, of course, use mainly waterfall and hybrid, but not agile. Okay, so we almost hit the results. So I think some of you are already pretty agile. Now, what is agile not? So like I said, the main focus here is on hybrid. So there's no game between agile and waterfall. It doesn't mean you throw away the traditional project management. And as I said already, agile management with risk management, with stakeholder management, with managing people actually uses a lot of things out of the traditional project management method. So if you study agile more deeply, you will see that parts of agile management come from the traditional project management method. And agile is not tearing up completely government processes. Yeah. So you will have still a certain governance, but for example, later I will come to the roles in Scrum. The roles have also a little bit more coaching character, not only strict management character. So it's a little bit more on what we call nowadays modern leadership, that a leader is also more a coach. Yeah, this is what Agile is also bringing in. Yeah? But all the processes and things you have in the company, of course, stay in place. Now, if you study Agile, the first thing you come across from the very famous Agile Manifesto are the 4 Agile values. And this is one thing really to remember when you work. I mean, they even have another set of around 20 Agile drivers, but that's way too much. What you really should learn are the 4 Agile values. And I like them a lot. So the first one is individual and interaction over process and tools. This is really modern management. So you really speak to people, you really interact to people, you enable people to enact on videos, on meetings, and so on. You have Slack, you have chat functions, you have sharing functions, yeah. And it's not only about processes and tools. The second thing, what Agile delivers, but it depends a little bit on the type of the industry you are in, is that it's much more important to deliver results than a comprehensive documentation. Remember, Agile is it's originally IT method, so that's why the results they call working software. But it can also be a working product. So it's all very result driven, which also goes in together later with what I will tell you about OKR, objective and key results. So it's about generating results. And then the customer is not your enemy, and the customer is not somebody who is completely bound down by a contract. So there's a little bit of flexibility between you and the customer. That's why you work in Agile very close with the customer together to develop things together. And Agile is very good for projects where you anticipate a lot of change. I mean, like I said before, if you have projects which you did a lot of time, they're always the same, so don't use Agile. Use your waterfall method and you're completely fine with that. But if these are projects you never have done before, or anything where you know that the customer doesn't know the requirements yet and it will develop during the time of the project, then Agile is very good because Agile helps you to respond to change. Do we have any questions on the 4 Agile values? I really have to ask for your forgiveness with my German accent. A lot of people already told me I should say agile, but I cannot. I'm always fall back and say agile. So agile means agile. Okay, sorry for that. Okay, let's carry on. Yeah. What is the biggest advantage of using Agile? Okay. I think, thank you that you like my accent, Rebecca. Okay, nice comment, by the way. I think the advantage is that we can try things. Agile is really about short tries and see if things work or not. And if it doesn't work, you can stop it immediately and you don't lose a lot of times. That's what I will show you later in Scrum. Yeah. So you're not following a strict plan, and when things are falling down, then the whole work is thrown away or you have to start again. No, you break it down in small parts with small results and immediately delivery that also the customer can see it in a test environment or live. And then you can immediately discuss if that's okay and you can go to the next stage or not. But Agile helps you not to work too much in a black room, yeah, or in a black box where you develop for 6 months or where you come up with a project or something new for 6 months and then somebody doesn't like it. The working software I will explain a little bit later, okay, when it comes to Scrum. Thank you for your questions. Now, you know the slide already, so let's go step by step to the parts of Agile, okay? And then we can discuss a little bit more the details, and I will give you some examples. Now, I have a very funny example here. When they look at Scrum versus Waterfall, the most common example is Scrum is like playing rugby and Waterfall is like a relay sprint. So why do you think Scrum is like a rugby match? Does anybody know that? You can raise your hand and we let you speak. So why Scrum is like a rugby match? It can also be a football match if you're not so familiar with rugby. Okay, yes, it's about collaboration. Yeah. Yeah, it's about doing similar things at the same time. You can run different sprints. Yeah. And how do you progress to the finish line? Okay, everybody focusing on one. And you have many changes, yeah. Many changes means in a rugby and a football match, coming to the finish line or to the goal, you have to see how your opponent reacts. In our case, it's of course not the opponent, it's the customer, and we react together. Yeah. But how do you run towards the finish line in rugby or in football? Yeah, we have a comment. Everybody dives into the action. Yes. So everybody helps anytime. So Scrum is really a team approach. Yeah, that's very good. But what is the big difference running towards the finish line in rugby or football and in a relay? It can be same goal with different tasks. Yeah, sometimes. Okay, we will speak about a Scrum team in a second. I will note it down. Yes, there's a very good answer. Relay is one after another. And the other ones, they go together. But how do they go together? How do they go together in rugby? Yes, it requires to understand each other. And if you really compare Scrum to rugby, if you can see my cursor, yeah, in rugby, in a relay, you would go straight, correct? You would go straight, yeah, or you go in a circle, but everybody goes more or less in a straight line. In rugby, you go sideways. Yeah, you go sideways a lot. Left, right, left, right, left, right, until you can go forward. And it's the same in football. You play a lot in the midfield, left, right, left, right. I mean, some teams, I think especially Spanish teams, and I can say that because I'm a German, sorry for that, but especially Spanish teams, they drive me crazy by going left, right, left, right, left, right all the time. I like British teams, they go very straight to the goal, yeah, or faster, which is more sprint. So I think one of the big difference here and why they use the example with rugby versus sprint, and you're right, it's a lot about team. You have to work together, you have to understand each other, you have to help each other out, yeah, even together with the customer to really get forward. But you don't move forward in a straight line, you move forward like in a zigzag line. And that's exactly what we do in Scrum. And that's what I will show you on the next slide before we go through the roles here. Okay, if we look at the roles in Scrum. So we have actually two roles. One is the product owner, who is really like a product manager who drives it, can even be the customer, but normally it's an internal product owner who deals with the customer. And we have a Scrum Master who is mainly facilitating. So the Scrum Master has a little bit more a coaching role. The product owner has a little bit more like a project role to bring it to the result. The Scrum Master is more facilitating the team to really make sure they have everything they need and they go ahead. And then we, of course, have the development team. Now, we had a nice question. I want you to guess now in the chat, what is the ideal size for the Scrum team? What do you think? Can you give me some numbers in the chat? 6 to 9 is good. Yeah, around 10, up to 10. Yeah. In some of the methodologies, they say 8 to 12. But 12 is a little bit tough, maybe. Yeah. I mean, if you if you count the product owner and Scrum Master into the team, then you can say 10 because you need two roles for these guys. but I think around 10 is good. Yeah, you can make it smaller, but you have to make sure that you have all the functions in the team you need. Yeah, so you need UX design people, you need programming people, you need product people, and so on. Yeah, and then, so these are the roles. What are the artifacts, or what are the parts of Scrum which we are using? So we have a product backlog. So we have a project, and the project has a target, right? We want to do a web page. So in my case, it was a web page or a website with 6 subpages. Yeah, yeah. This was the product, and this was the product backlog. But we did sprints. So for every page, we used a sprint actually. Sometimes it was 1 day, sometimes it was half day, sometimes it was 2 days, and so on. So we did sprints for every page, but the product was the whole web page, yeah, until it was on a stage which it was functional. Yeah, but we launched already out of the sprint. We had working software, and that's your question before. What is working software? So in my case, the landing page, only the landing page, where even the other 5 buttons didn't function, and we had a pop-up why the other 5 buttons didn't function. So we had a good UX, user experience, or we tried at least, but this was the working software actually. Yeah, so already the landing page, just to put it up with the main information about our consulting company, was working software, and we launched it within 1-2 days. Yeah, before we worked on the other stuff. Sprint backlog means you haven't finished the sprint yet. So if we work, for example, on the client page or on the project pages on the website, or about the general information about the company. So this is all the parts you need in this sprint. And what you haven't finished is the sprint backlog before you can go live with the sprint. An increment, does anybody know what is an increment? In the chat, please. Any idea what is an increment? This is exactly what the Scrum Master is actually for. Increment is everything what hinders the team not to progress. Yeah. So we do actually, if we come to the events on the right side, we can do a daily Scrum meeting. So events are the sprint itself, and you have to plan the sprint before you do it. So what you want to develop or what you want to launch. And then normally you have daily Scrum meetings. And on those daily Scrum meetings, you normally ask 2 questions. The 2 questions is, what have you done? And what was the problem why you could not done the rest? Or what are the showstoppers? We call them also showstoppers. And these are the increments. So it's really important to collect what was finished, what is not in the sprint backlog anymore, and what are the increments? What hinders you to finish something? So maybe there was something missing from the customer, maybe there was a feedback missing, maybe there's a tool missing, maybe there's a license missing, and so on. These are increments. And then after a sprint, we do a sprint review. So after we did the landing page, we sit together and say, oh, what went good the last 2 days? What went not, what didn't go so good? So how can we improve the next sprints? Yeah, in the communication. So I was not very happy with my developer because he asked me for pictures very late. And I sometimes had to design these pictures. And I was like, why did, and I was sitting around sometimes for 1-2 hours, not doing much, waiting for his input. So I asked him to give me the requirements for pictures much earlier so we can work in parallel, for example. This was sprint review. And then in the next sprints for the next pages, we did it faster. And then we have a sprint retrospective. This is not about the product. This is about the team. And this is one very important part from the Scrum Master, that you ask what went well in the team working together. So it's about the facilitation of the team. It's not about the product itself. Yeah. So what went good about the communication? What went good about the speed, and so on. Yeah. Increment is not a new thing it can be a new thing to be added up. It can be a change, but normally inside a sprint, a change should not come, or then we have to probably add it to the next sprint. Yeah. But it can be a not discovered feature. So anything which is an issue not to finish anything, right? Something is missing, something is new, something changes. And remember, in Agile, change is something good. So we are not really focused on avoiding changes. We embrace changes. And then we have to decide if we can finish in this sprint or we have to add it to another sprint. That's why we have the backlog where we can track that. Okay. Does that answer your question, Waco and Kate? Okay, thank you. So if we go now into the Scrum, and remember, Scrum is the overall cycle. Sprint is the part where you program the software or where you come up with the product and so on. Yeah. So if you look in the parts of the Scrum, and we already spoke about them, you have a product backlog. So for me, it was, I wanted to make a web page with 6 pages. And then we did the sprint planning. So I said, okay, let's focus first on the landing page. And when the landing page is finished, we do the other 5 pages. Yeah. So this was the product backlog. And the sprint backlog were the single pages we had. And then we took one part out of the sprint backlog. So we started with the landing page, and luckily we didn't need 30 days, but we needed 2-3 days, and we developed it. And we didn't make daily scrums. We made maybe scrums every 5 hours where we were speaking about what went well, what didn't go so well. Yeah. And once we finished the landing page, we put it into the sprint review and decided if we can go live with it or not. Yeah. Yeah. If there was another increment or not. Yeah. If there was an increment, the increment goes back into the backlogs. So it will increase your spreads. So if I would have come along after 3 pages and tell my developer, oh, now I have new idea, I want 10 pages instead of 6, it goes in the product backlog, and we have to do the sprint planning maybe new. And we have to prioritize it newly. Okay. So this is a little bit the overall Scrum, with the sprints inside to really develop something and put it live. Any questions here? Okay, so let's go ahead. We have a Q&A session at the end if you have general questions. Now, the next thing some of you already know is Kanban. So Scrum and Sprint are one of the main topics in Agile that we're really getting parts of the working software or of any project developed in a cycle with the customer, and Kanban helps you to visualize it. So Kanban is a lot, and I will show you on the next slide Kanban dashboard or Kanban overview. So what are the principles of Kanban? First, we have to visualize it. We limit WIP. Does anybody know what is WIP? Yes, very good. Work in progress. So, okay, I see a lot of people know that. That's good. So what is very important in Agile, and also, and especially when we work with Scrum and Sprint, is the definition of done. So you and the customer have to agree when something is done. So I had requirements on the landing page, and when we hit these requirements, it was done for me and my developer. Yeah. And the moment you finish a sprint and you put it live, you limit the work in progress. Yeah. Because work in progress means that you are working on something. But Scrum and Sprint really have the focus on getting things done as fast as possible and moving to the next thing. Okay. Now Kanban also managed the workflow with the overview. You see the process. I mean, Kanban is what do you develop one after another. Yeah. And Kanban also helps you to see when you want to implement feedback loops. And of course, it improves the collaboration because people can see where other people are working on. Yeah. I will show you now on the next slide the overview of this Kanban board visualization or visualization board. Yeah. Okay. And you see a little bit, it comes a little bit from the Scrum and the Sprint. So we start here with the workflow, which has the backlog and the items you select at the moment. And then you see where people are working on. So T2, T1, T7 can be people or can be teams. Yeah. And here we don't call it, if you look at development testing, we don't call it work in progress. We call it, do you see how we call it here? I put a question in the chat. Can you see how work in progress is called in the development or in the testing phase? Yes, that's work in progress. And it's a little bit like a, like a board game where you have to move some of the parts to the finish line in order to win. It's like if some of you know backgammon. I mean, backgammon, if you have things in progress, it's really bad. You want to put them at the end of the line. That's why you play backgammon, right? That's the same here. So what is really valuable in Agile is what you have done. And that's the main focus on Agile. Work in progress is something which makes the team busy and you burn a lot of resources. Yeah. What we have here also at the lower part, if you look left low in the corner, is the expedite lane. It means things which should go faster than the rest. These are the priorities here. It's like a highway. Yeah. So they have that here to visualize. But I think you don't need really an IT tool to do a Kanban board. You could make it with some stickers or yeah, with any yellow stickers and stuff in your office, or you can make it virtually, and you can see very fast if you move on with certain parts of the project. You can see very fast which teams are stuck, which teams are overloaded. So Kanban helps you a lot to visualize. Do you have any questions about a Kanban board? Okay, we have a Q&A session at the end. So the last thing I want to show you, so we did a little bit the overview about Agile and what is the difference Agile and Waterfall and when do we use Agile and the main methods which were Scrum, Sprint, Kanban and all the dimensions of it. Now, a good planning tool for Agile is objectives and key results, which also focus you more on results than KPIs, because KPIs is very process oriented, a little bit like Waterfall. You follow the same process all the time. So if you also want to do Agile on a management level, you should think about OKRs. And OKRs really help you with the objective, because you only plan into a 3-month cycle, a 1-month cycle, or a 6-month cycle, ideally into a 3-month cycle. And you really measure on a weekly basis against what you achieve. So it's a little bit like a weekly sprint. Yeah. Are you getting the backlog down? That can be a key result. Yeah. And then, of course, what the work is, what the people are doing, work in progress are the actions, or what we call also planning. So this is a very good method on a planning part where you get your team more agile, because you plan instead of 12 months, you plan on 12 weeks, which is 3 months. Yeah, so you speed up things. Okay, good. That was the overview about Agile. I think with MPC, we will plan after the situation at the moment is over, some trainings on Agile Management. So if you are interested in that, please contact MPC. Yeah, and I give the word back to MPC, and then we do our Q&A session. You can also rate our webinar. We will send you a link through the Zoom group chat, or you can use the QR code with this, with the scanner here. Okay, thank you very much. I give the word back to MPC. Please shoot through your actions. Here's already the link, your questions.
If you have any question, please, you can type it in the chat box as well. And thank you everyone for attending today.
So we have a question here. Who have the right to assign people tasks in Kanban? Yeah, normally it's the product owner. Yeah, but it's a little bit a mixed role because between the product owner and the Scrum Master. Because remember, the Scrum Master is facilitating. So the product owner can assign the team at the beginning, but if things go wrong or people don't work smoothly together, or you have the wrong people, the Scrum Master will jump in. So maybe it's better to work it together with the Scrum Master from the beginning. Okay. Good. How to persuade people to agile environment? Yes, I mean it's a lot about collaboration. Now, when do we use agile? I think first you have to persuade people that they are in the you cannot really put agile on any kind of project. Especially when they are always the same. You start small, and then you start with one team first. You don't have to put agile on the whole company. You start with one team and a very small project to test it. Yeah. Okay, we have another question here in tech product. Which method is bad, agile or Kanban? I mean, there's not really, when you look at agile, I mean, Kanban can be a part of agile. In some methodology it is, in some methodology is not. Sometimes they separate it, so not. But I would not be so strict here. So if you use a sprint or if you use Scrum, which is part of the agile, of course you can use the Kanban board. If you use the Kanban process, which we can explain in one of the next trainings, which takes a little bit longer, where you have cards and you measure anything, that's up to you. But you can mix it. You can mix agile and Kanban. I mean, KPI is very, very waterfall actually, because KPI doesn't is very strict. I mean, if you wanna, we can put this question on. Can we put line 9 on the speaker for the biodiversity project, please? And then we can speak about it quickly.
Hello.
Oh, yeah.
I'm working on biodiversity project is more related to like KPI.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, which type do you recommend, like waterfall, agile, or mixed?
Yeah, I mean, if you do KPIs, you start of course with the waterfall. But if you have projects which needs changes, then you do mixed. I mean, Agile works better with OKR. The question is, can you do OKRs, let's see, for one team only?
Okay.
Can you do OKR? I mean, OKR and KPI is not exclusive. So if you run your project, first you have KPIs. How long are your KPIs? 6 months, 1 year? How long are they?
So far, my project is 5-year project.
Okay. And the KPIs are defined for 1 year or how long?
It's like 1 year.
Now,
Yeah.
are there parts in your project which change very fast, which you cannot plan 1 year?
Not that much. At least, yeah, between 6 months to 1 year.
Okay, but so everything you do in the project, you can plan for 6 months to 1 year.
Yeah.
And there are not much changes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, then it's classical waterfall. If you would have parts of the project,
yeah.
I mean, in a biodiversity project, do you have any emergencies about weather or about any natural disasters or anything which can happen?
So far, I have faced with, when I say, the stakeholder demonstration, because of our country is like in the transition process of the previous 5 decade close the door to the open society. Yeah.
Changes, yeah. You can apply Agile Management and probably 3 months planning with OKR and really track the results on a weekly basis.
Okay.
But at the moment, I think it's purely waterfall.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. And we have another question here. How do we know that using Agile is more successful than waterfall? I mean, Agile is about fast delivery. Now, if you try Agile and you do not get any results or anything live, let's say within 2 to 4 weeks, yeah, then Agile is not working. Yeah, because you have probably a project which takes longer, which needs a lot of planning, and the phases take 5 months, 6 months, 10 months, and so on. So it's not automatical that Agile and waterfall are more successful. It depends what kind of project you have. Do you have a long-term project like the biodiversity project where you can plan step by step ahead? Then of course waterfall is more successful. If you have a project with a lot of fast changes where you have to try things, then Agile is more successful. And if you have both, some parts can be planned, some parts not, then try hybrid. Try both. Put it down on team level. Yeah. Okay, the difference between product backlog and sprint backlog. Like I said in my example, the product was the web, to create a full homepage with 6 pages included. Yeah. So the backlog was to create my full homepage. But we made sprints for each side of the website. So the first site was the landing page. Yeah. That's only one page. And that was our sprint backlog. So every item on my landing page was the sprint backlog. Yeah. It's like if you say you wanna make a party. So your product is making a party, and one part of the party is a cake. Yeah. So your sprint backlog is the cake, and you need 1 day for the cake. And if you don't finish things for the cake, the shopping, the baking, the mixing, that's in your sprint backlog. And if you finish the cake, you have finished one part of your product backlog, which is the whole party. But the whole party hopefully does not consist only about the cake. You need music, you need the drinks, and so on. This is your product backlog. Okay, good. Kate, what do you mean by project management software for enterprise? Now I understand, for enterprise. Okay, yeah, I mean project management. You have MS Project, which is a classical waterfall tool. You have also more agile tools, like for example Jello or Astana. I will write it down here. Okay, I will write it down again. Jello, Astana are more, yeah. So the classical ones are MS Project or Open Project management tool. More agile is Jello and Astana. Maybe you can also use Team, for example. Team is also Team Slack. These kind of tools can help you a lot. Okay. Good. Yes, a lot of companies use Jello and Slack. Yeah. Okay. So thank you very much for the session today and for your questions. Okay. I see that you're also using Jira. Jira is a little bit more process oriented. And yeah, we will run more webinars with MPC on different topics like project management, customer experience, and so on. We will see when we start again during or after the holidays. So please keep posted. Thank you very much.
Okay. It's still like we cover all the questions. Thank you, Carsten, and then thank you for everyone who take initiative to ask the question and then make this webinar more interactive. And so thank you, everyone, and then we appreciate you being here. A recorded version of this webinar will be available, and we will send it to your email together with the PowerPoint slide as well. And then for this webinar, please take a few minutes time to answer our feedback, and then we would love to hear from you. And then we take note of your suggestion, and then we'll make it more good in our upcoming webinar as well. So we have an upcoming webinar, and for the information, we will keep posted on our Facebook page. So don't forget to follow our MPC Facebook page, and then we will announce it. Thank you, everyone, and then we will see you in the next time. Have a good holiday ahead.
Thank you very much. See you. Bye.